I can pick you like from the corner, and partner or friend, I'm not sure. Hi, Deirdre. So lovely to see you. And Melissa. And all of you. Hey, how are you, Matt? Nice to see you. Okay. I met Matt in Costa Rica, and we have Alice from Costa Rica here, right? So I met him in your hometown, and I just met you. Matt is under a pseudonym. I think it's Gray Dunn. Yeah, but that's a Matt. Hi, Matt. You can just see he's back. So welcome everyone. If you don't know where you're at and why that was a whole weird thing, my name is Hector, Hector Marcel. My usual introduction is my name is Hector Marcel Geronimo Ochoa Peralta de Figurilli de Malacaria II. I was born when I was very young. Ha, ha, ha. I do it, like you'll get really bored of this, right? But I love it. Um, because it's so awkward. And you're at a place called Three Jewels if you haven't figured out where you clicked into or where you stepped into. Sometimes it happens that people will walk past here and just see the sign outside that says this is a sign and they come in and say this is the sign. What is this place? Because it looks like a cafe. And then there's that in-between area, which, where did I step into? Why should I leave my bag here? And then you step into the studio. You know, yeah. So if you don't know where you're at Three Jewels, and Three Jewels is is so many things. Three Jewels is a Tibetan Buddhist center that started in New York City in 1996. I bumped into this place by coincidence on opening night. I had nothing to do with Buddhists. I was reading Ayn Rand, if anyone knows what that means. I know. And so I had some judgment around people that were spiritual, yeah. And I sat for a free meditation class. That's what got me in, free, yeah, meditation class. And it did something to my mind that was unexpected. And I wanted to prove them wrong, so I came back. And then I wanted to prove them wrong again, and I kept coming back. And that took a little while, and then I was really earnest at trying to prove them wrong, you know, because there were a bunch of things I was hearing in this spiritual thing that sounded a bit woo-woo. And so here I am, 25 years later, teaching at Three Jewels on a regular basis. In fact, I get to be the president of Three Jewels, which means I get to take care of a space where people can walk in off the street because this is a sign, or because they've met a friend, or because they want to meditate, or because they want to take a yoga class, or because they want to be part of giving back or something. And I get to eat my karma from all that time ago. I get to create a space or support a space where people really investigate the nature of their experience of life through the Buddhist lens. And we try and strip away the Buddhist-y notions, the religious notions, and try and connect deeply to the human condition. And Gopika's here, but I'll mute her. Here we go. Um, so we try and strip away the cultural enough to still connect to the essence, yeah, and connect it to who we are. If you have some part of your physical body left, like even if there's an arm missing, right, you've still got a body. And if you've got enough mind that you can be aware, then what we teach here should land and help one of those two things, your body and or your mind. But we don't claim that we get to fix anyone. We don't claim that you have to do things a specific way just because. We're here to share at least the insight from Buddhist thought. And that's where you landed. Yeah, every Tuesday night I get to talk about the practice of all these Buddhist ideas that we teach here at Three Jewels on a regular basis. We teach a series of courses called the Asian Classics Institute courses. And this is 8-year curriculum a condensed version of a 20-year curriculum in a monastery that the Dalai Lama and all monks and nuns have to learn. And so we teach that here over 8 years. It's really heady but practical, and it really challenges modern Western perspective on where reality comes from. Mostly it challenges phenomenology, right? That atoms can force you to feel and experience, if I can summarize it that way. So this is where you've landed. Tuesday nights, after 25 years of practice and teaching and really trying to put into practice the practices that promise some liberation from suffering and some bliss or something like that, I feel very fortunate to be able to answer questions and discuss what most humans want to figure out, right? How to really get a sustained confidence in happiness. I mean, it's 1,000 ways that you could say that. How can I touch the divine? Like, there's 1,000 ways to describe that state of being, which we are capable of because we have the machinery. We have a body and we have a mind, an awareness of the physical in this world, right? Animals have it too. Any sentient creature has that too. And so we get to investigate that, and is it possible? And if it is, then these practices should lead us there. And we discuss here, like we get really nerdy about, well, does it work all the time? Does it work this way? If we do this, does that work? For example, we're about to start a meditation teacher training, right? And so I usually lead that meditation teacher training, and I have a bunch of people that have meditated for a long time. And then we get to investigate, well, let's see what meditation is supposed to do. Because people have some idea of what this practice, meditation is not what it's supposed to do. If you don't have an idea, why the hell are you doing it, right? So that's like the first question, right? Why are you sitting like that? Why is sitting like that gonna help you? People sit like that all the time. You know, well, probably don't, not here. People sit more like that. You know, but is sitting gonna wake you up? And closing your eyes, we close our eyes all the time. Is closing your eyes the thing that gets you to wake up? Closing your eyes, the thing that gets you to wake up? Sounds weird, right? What's happening in your mind when you meditate? Why would doing something with your mind, or trying not to do something with your mind, would wake you up? And if you don't know, why the hell are you sitting there like that? Are we just consuming the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? So we ask those questions, and then they bother you for a while, right? Like, you've come to these classes enough times now to be bothered, right? You should be bothered if you don't understand what life is doing, before you waste it on doing what someone else told you to do, because if you do this, this and that, get the career, get the job, and I'm not saying don't get that, but if you're just doing it because someone said so, and then eventually you're going to get happy. Really? Don't you want to own your life? And so this really gets you to question and understand, why do I practice anything? And if the Buddhists were onto something, which we're not the only people that are onto something, then finding that core of you at your consciousness, at your mind, that place of rapture, and knowing how to get your finger in there and turning something on, that should turn on a state of being. And so we're here to, I'm here to share a little bit of that, and that's where you landed. And I hope you're in the mindset to get that today. Yeah, I hope you're in the mindset of saying, can I check? It's safe, right? You're in your own little Zoom box, and you are in your own little head box in here. It's safe for you to go, okay, what can I think? No one's looking at your thoughts, okay? It's just you. Is it safe to check your assumptions about you and the universe? And I'll get to give you some insights, and then I'll get to answer some questions. But today, does that sound good? Like, you all know where you're at? Yeah. So I'm inviting you, actually, what I'm actually inviting you to do is, can you put on pause for a second your old bullshit stories about how you think you are, especially if they're not helpful. You know, oh, I'm the strange person in the room. You know, you're all strange. That's why you're here. You know, like, I'm the only one that got sad today. You're not. I'm always the one beating myself up. You're not. Sorry. You've got a ton of friends around you. I'm the only one that has really depressive thoughts. You're not. I'm the one that's secretly cynical about everything. You're not. And in that sense, we're very much the same. We're trying to move and understand this experience of life and living. And the Buddhists would say the way you're engaging with that is an illusion. And so I want to talk a little bit about that for a second. In which way is it an illusion? Is it that this thing is not here? It's not true, it's here. You're looking at it, I'm touching it. The Buddhists would say it's an illusion. Yeah? And if you understand what they mean by that, then you could really wake up to the way this thing really is. That's all an illusion means. It appears a certain way, but when you investigate it, you will find that you have a lot more to do with this than you think. In fact, the only way you can experience this is through you, your lens. You're already thinking labels, right? Plant, leaf. Leave it alone, Hector. It's going to... like Alice is like, stop hurting the plant. She comes from Costa Rica. What are you going to do? You know, we live in New York. So the thing I want to explore with us is this concept of illusion. Things are not what they appear. And then there's a different way that things actually are. And if we understood that, the idea is you would Buddha, you would wake up. The Buddha is the one who woke, the one who Buddha'd. Yeah, who Buddha'd, or Buddha, I don't know. The one who awoke, yeah, who Buddha'd. Yeah. So you too can be Buddha'd, right? If you Buddha yourself that this is not what it seems. And then us modern folk have a problem with that. Because as soon as I say that, if you're anything like me, you would think, then there's no plant at all. And that's bullshit. That's not true. There's a plant. Yeah, which I'm being nice to, Alice, okay? There is a plant. It's just not the way you think it is. And what I mean by that is that a bug who's got a mind just like you would come to this object which you experience and see and conceive of as plant, and they don't have the same conceptions or experience of this object. It's a food for them or a home for them. For real, not it's a plant that's food. No, it's something we crave that we need to eat for a bug. And that's how it really is for the bug. But for you, it really is a plant. And the Buddhists would say both are illusions that function, right? That function for the different mindsets. And if you Buddha'd, you would see how it could be a plant, and it could be a food, and it could be a home, and 1,000 trillion many other things equal to the number of minds conceiving or experiencing that object. And that would wake you up to its infinite potential, because this could be bliss itself. You could be experiencing this, I'm allergic. You could be experiencing this and go, this is the medicine I've always needed. You could have ghosts. I don't know if you all heard that, but that was weird. That was something. So the reason I want to talk about illusion is because if we understand this concept, and it's the core concept you'll get in every single class at 3 Joules, the idea that this object is empty, emptiness, special word, of having the nature you think it does. I mean, it doesn't have it by itself. It doesn't force plant onto every consciousness. It forces nothing. It's empty of forcing anything to anyone. Plant is only perceived by those that have the mental experience of this as plant, but it's also perceived as food for those that are forced to perceive this as food. And it's also home for all the little minds or big minds in little bodies who conceive this as a nest or a home. And so by its nature, by itself, without anyone experiencing it, it is empty of being plant. Does that make sense? That concept is slippery. That concept is the key to understanding every single thing we do in Buddhist wake-upist practice. If you get that, you'll start saying, Hector, stop talking about the stupid plant. I got the plant, the emptiness of the plant. For those of you who have come before, I usually talk about the emptiness of a pen, that object that humans see as pen, dogs see as chew toy, right? And we say that it doesn't come from the object. It's not radiating its essence. It is a chew toy for a little puppy. It is a pen for those that we call human, right? But it's not coming from the object to us. It is coming from us to the object. And if you get that, logically it should be very simple. So simple we miss it. If you get that, this play between karma and emptiness, then you'll stop theorizing about it with the plant, theorizing about it with the cylinder as pen, and if you get this concept, you'll start playing with your own wake-up-ism. And you'll start applying it to things that really matter. And the things that really matter are the things that piss you off. You don't want any more of those. Doesn't matter what they are. If they piss you off, there's something in you that's connecting to that negativity you're experiencing. It can't be coming from the experience, if this is true and the pen is true. Does that make sense so far? We get that intellectually, right? Wait till you get into an argument. And then, no, but it's true. That's why it's called a practice, because you're not going to do it straight away. And that's only half of the equation. Can you, understanding the nature of things is that they don't have a nature other than the one you're forced to experience, then the practices are all about changing what forces that experience. That's all meditation is. Can you get single-pointed concentration enough to resist the urge to create violence in front of a violent situation, because you're just creating more violence? And can you have enough compassion for yourself and others to choose a different response that would, instead of creating negativity, create bliss? And then half of the problem is stop the hurtful things in your projections of life, which are real for you, right? They're not, imaginary. And can we then build up the things that project stunningness, beauty, timelessness, compassion, and all the good qualities you already possess? Because whatever you think you are, is just a current projection of what you think you are. You weren't always this way. Kira, right? You were probably little once. She's not that big now, but like you were, sorry, people are like, oh, she's giant. You were probably a baby, right? And you looked down, you had little baby arms. And that was Kira. Look at your arm now. She's looking at her arm. That's still Kira, right? But is it the same Kira? Right, so where's Kira? Is it the baby Kira or the adult Kira? Because you're just observing a cylinder we call arm. And underneath the label arm, which you're just having, it's not like you're trying, right? There's a whole bunch of assumptions about, I know when I look at my arm, oh, look at the wrinkles, you old bastard. Like there's 1,000 different conceptions of Hector arm. I'm not choosing them, I'm fighting them, mostly. Right? So the question is, if it's true that we are projecting our reality and that there are practices that help us load up the projector that projects the reality, because things are empty or don't have a nature by themselves. They depend on someone to experiencing them. Then if you get that, every Buddhist and non-Buddhist practice would lead you to Buddha, because you would only do actions of body, speech, and mind, which is what records the projections in the first place, that would result, flower, project only the things you want and not the things you don't want. That's the theory of Buddhism in a nutshell. Yeah, and I think 2 classes ago we talked about the 4 truths, or the 4 Arya truths, which are called the 4 noble truths in much literature. And it just means the 4 realities that a person experiences when they really commit themselves to unraveling what's this reality I'm in. And they'll come to these 4 realizations. There's a bunch of others, but the Buddha summarized them in anyone that investigates reality will come to see all the stuff you're dealing with can be labeled suffering. And so he says, life is suffering. Even the nicest things, if you're thinking they come from the thing, if you're attached to the illusion, if you're addicted to the illusion, you're going to try and get more plans or get more things. And trying to get things produces the equal and opposite result in your projections. People are trying to get things from you. I don't know if that makes some sense, equal and opposite reaction. And so Buddha says, look, life is suffering because you think you want this and this is the source of your happiness. And as soon as this is gone, which it will be, like if you're addicted to your baby arm, some point the baby arm is gone. I really want to keep my baby arm. Sorry about it. Right? You're going to be disappointed when there's no baby arm. Or you're going to try and keep it a baby arm. And then your attachment is like, I need this way because that's where my happiness comes from. And it isn't. Your happiness is nothing to do with this. This is where your happiness gets projected onto. If you understand that key of karma and emptiness, and that things are infinitely possible, then you yourself could wake up to the fact that somewhere in your mind is exactly the same infinite potential as exists here, or in that thing we call pen, this thing we call arm, and this identity you call you. And so tonight, I rewind. I ramble a lot, apologies, not really. The Buddha said, if you investigate reality, you'll come up with, the way I was dealing with life is suffering. Even the nicest thing. And there's this crazy Tibetan analogy that says, even the good things in this life, if you don't know where they come from, are like licking honey from a razor blade. Because it's sweet. But if it will necessarily end, even a sweetness that necessarily ends in a suffering, like a cut, can only be called a suffering. Can't be called a sweetness. But it can't be a good thing if it ends bad. And that sounds so depressing because we want nice things, right? I want pretty things. I want long-lasting things. So Buddha didn't say those things aren't possible. He just said, the first thing he said, poor bastards that hurt him the first time. Oh, Buddha, please teach us all these things you just realized. He's like, I can't. Please, they asked him 3 times, please teach us. These 5 people, please teach us. He's like, no, don't want to. They had to ask 3 times. And he's like, please, teach us this enlightenment you've just experienced. And he's like, life is suffering. Sorry, I'm just... It's pretty funny. Please give us all this goodness. Life is suffering. I don't know, maybe he would be cancelled in 2020. Post-pandemic. He's like, we know, shut up. But then the next thing he said, which is stunning, and if you understand this karma and emptiness, the meaning of what he said should be evident, right? He's like, yep, there's suffering. Even the nicest things will end. So if you've got the wrong conception, if you're addicted to the illusion, you're going to hurt when your best relationship finishes, when your hair falls out, when whatever you thought was the source of your happiness changes, because things change. So you'll be sad. Don't be too happy, you'll be sad, right? And then the next thing he said is like, but there is a cause to that suffering. It's not permanent. It's produced. Like this plant is produced. It came from something smaller from before, a seed. From a similar plant that looked like this. That came from a seed from before that was smaller. From a big plant that planted the seed that came from a seed that was smaller of the same type. And this one came from a different seed, similar to this one, but it was smaller. And time made it grow into something bigger. And if you trace it back, you can't really find the source of anything. It's infinite. And that's true of the things in your mind and your sufferings. But if a thing is caused, which is the second thing he said, life is suffering, but hey, it's caused, then the next thing is evident. If you know the cause and you stop it, then suffering can end for real. Like, it doesn't have to continue. You stop planting this kind of seeds, you won't get these kind of trees. You keep planting more of this kind of seeds, you will get more of these. You want roses? Plant roses. You want anger? Get angry. Yeah, but they deserved it. Doesn't matter. You want angry? Get angry. Yeah, but I should get angry. Okay, why? Because I want anger to stop. If you get this, it sounds crazy what we do. I don't want anger anymore, so I'm angry about it. I'm mad about it. Like, it's bizarre. After you get the fact that things don't produce the experience, your mind is forcing the experience. So what are you putting in your mind? If you're putting anger, if you're putting that voice you all have in your head, the one that's commenting right now about the way you're sitting, not the one judging me, because I get that voice. I heard that one. Okay, so that's fine. But whatever voice you've got about you, like, there you go again, Hector, you did that again. You ate the toast. You said you weren't going to have bread today. That's 3 toasts today. Yeah, but the other 2 was because I had the first one, you know. What am I going to get? Welcome to my mind. What are you going to get? What are you going to get when you keep doing the same thing? You're not going to get a different result. You don't want anger. Stop being angry. It sounds so simple, because that will imprint your mind with anger, and then your mind has to see the world through that lens of anger. It's easy to say, but wait till you get angry again. The impulse is there. We're lost in an illusion that being angry would stop anger. You see it? And if you could Buddha, you could wake up to the fact that the only way anger would stop is if I stop anger. It sounds so stupid simple. That's where all the practices come. So Buddha said, yeah, life is suffering. Don't be shocked. Like, it's more suffering's coming if you haven't figured it out, okay? This year, it's called COVID. Last year, like, there's 1,000 different sufferings coming. And if the world was perfect, Buddha said you're going to have these 4: birth, aging, sickness, and death. Doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter how old you are, they're coming. You're going to miss someone. Stop pretending it ain't coming. Face it. But if it's a projection, like this is a projection, and it's an illusion that can shift because it's a changing thing, oh my goodness, that suffering was caused, even the aging one. Can you have a self-perception that what we previously experienced as aging is something else? Because this can be interpreted as food, house, or tree, or whatever I said before. But why can't aging? So Buddhists go like up there. They're like, what about death? The thing you think death is, what if it's not that? Because it's not by its nature. If it's empty of a nature, it could be anything that you cause it to be. And that's where the practices come in. What you practice, you become. And whether you're a wake-upist or not, you're practicing something. One of the good things that I practice, not good thing, one of the things we practice is judging others harshly. Yeah? Especially in the New York subway. Yeah? It's a smorgasbord of judge that one, look at their hair, look at the makeup, look at their shoes, like compare, you're not as good as them, like it's 1,000, like we do this this discriminating mind of ours will first of all see a difference, and then we'll go to town. Yeah? And even if you don't like it, you're still doing it. Despite yourself, you're doing it. Every one of those mental movements is a cause for another ripening of a similar type. So if you're judging body image, you're going to have body image issues. If you're judging personality, you're going to be self-critical about your personality or experience someone's words as being critical of your personality. I'm trying really hard to simplify this idea of karma and emptiness. Karma is the projection. Emptiness is the things can be anything. So everyone's, at least in New York, you're in a subway and there is a mother screaming at her kid. It happens in New York. It happens in other places too. And some people are like, oh, poor mom, she's so stressed. Natural response. You're going to have more of that compassion. I think that's good for you. Some people are like, oh, stop yelling at the kid, you stupid bitch. I've said that, yeah? No, I have in my mind. I'm like, you're troubling the kid, you stupid bitch. You see, the you stupid bitch part in my mind can only produce the same kind of result as that intent towards her. She didn't hear my mind. She didn't get my negative state of mind. I got it. I ate it like poison. Life is suffering. But suffering is caused. You just caused it, Hector. More moments of feeling whatever judgment I've placed on her. If you get this karma and emptiness, you have the key to practice with purpose to wake up. Because if you understood that everything you did with your body, speech, and mind, everything you imprinted your mind with by what you said or thought or did would have consequences equal to the seed you planted, I might control my mind a little better when I'm yelling, mum is yelling at the kid. And I might choose to look at the smorgasbord of possibility that maybe she's having a terrible day. That maybe it's not her kid. That maybe something else is happening, yeah? Or I might intervene and help if I can. But I'll try to plant an experience for her and me that is more virtuous, more open, and the thing I'd like to experience in my future too. A world where anger isn't driving the world. I hope that's making some sense. It wasn't even what I wanted to talk about. It really wasn't. But if you understand that, life is suffering. Suffering is produced like seeds. Therefore, it can stop. It doesn't have to be suffering. It can be divine. And you have to do some practices to make that happen. The practice of choosing what you think, say, and do to the best of your ability. You're not going to be able to do it quickly. Yeah? And then you get to reap the rewards of what your practice is, rather than practicing what we're already practicing, which is you're not even, most of us are not even conscious of what we're practicing. Because most of, like, consciousness is up here, subconscious is down here. What are all the subconscious movements of your mind which are imprinting your reality in a way that is hard to see because we don't see our own little corners, right? So anyway, that's the basis of Wake Uppers practice. Today is a special Buddhist holiday. It happens a couple of times a month. And by that, I mean, there are Buddhist monks and nuns around the world who on this day, which is the 10th moon calendar day or the 25th, they decide to spend the day doing something extraordinary to remember the fact that things don't have a nature, meaning things can be anything, even though I'm having a hard day, even though my arm might be getting old, even though I don't like this plant and I like this, even though reality is what it is right now for me, little r reality, I want to remember that behind my experience of reality lies this infinite potential, because things don't have a nature. That in the place of this, I could be experiencing some blissful scent or something that's sending me into rapture. That instead of hanging around in a room of other people, maybe there's some divine connection between these little boxes and you. Do you hear what I'm saying? So they practice on this day the possibility of the most stunning potential inside you. What would you be free of the suffering? Because that's potential, right? So then they practice this thing a couple of times a month, like play acting, I guess. It's like, is that a thing? Is that a word? Yeah, whatever the, pretend, yeah? Fake it till you make it. What is it? Role play, yeah, great. I used to work in an office. We loved role play. Not true. So, what I want to do now is I want to invite you to wake up the seeds that you already have inside of you for the most stunning, beautiful, magical, divine, wake-upest moment you've ever had. Because you've had some, and they're just like these seeds. And together, I want to see if we can activate them stronger. Can we pretend for the next 10 minutes that things are nothing but divine, and sort of join the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of monks and nuns tonight that are walking around India, Tibet, China, all over the world, trying this special practice. And the way I want to do that, are you good for that? Can I challenge you to do that? Great. So something should be coming to mind, right? Like, what's the most stunning thing? What we're basically doing is placing pause on normal. Placing pause on all the terrible things. They're coming back, don't worry, the terrible things. After class, they'll come back. But for the next 10 minutes, can we just like cordon them off from our awareness and try for each other to elevate these most stunning moments that you've ever had? And I'll give you a couple of examples. And then who's managing the online? I want to break out some breakout groups and have no more than, so Kelly, can we do some breakout groups of no more than 5 people per breakout room? Yeah? And then in here, I'm gonna mute, and then we're going to just popcorn. But here is the question, okay? In 10 minutes, I'm gonna ask everyone that's in your breakout group or here to say, hi, my name is, and just give us either the name of whoever appeared in your world as this sort of divine thing that moved your heart to love or rap. It could be a birth of a child. It could have been that moment with grandma. It could have been the moment you saw yourself in the mirror and you liked yourself and you were surprised. You see what I mean? It doesn't have to be too hard. It just should be a memory of the most beautiful divine moment you've had. Maybe, I don't know, you were really hurt at one point and some weird person came out of the blue and said a couple of words and you're like, oh, they moved my heart to joy, the possibility that there's goodness in the world. Do you get the assignment? Is that good? And it's not about you, it's about the other people in the thing. So your job, if you're in a breakout room, is listen to, hi, my name is Alice and I live in Costa Rica, and Costa Rica is stunning, and when you wake up in the morning, for me, I go to the beach, and as soon as I see the beach, this happens, right? And now I'm in New York. No, don't say that in New York part. Yeah. So something to share with someone else, this feeling that you had, that there's this infinite goodness somewhere, and just see how your spirits lift just hearing other people's goodnesses. No garbage, no suffering. That's coming after class. So just for the next 10 minutes, can we do that? And then when we come back, I'll just get an example from each of the groups. Say, hey, what's the nicest thing you heard? And just popcorn there, and we'll just share some love. Is that good? We're planting seeds in listening too. So Kelly, all yours. Enjoy the breakout group. If you've done this exercise with me before or something similar, help in each breakout room. I love you. Hi, Matt. And talk soon. Oh my God. I hope that you had. Can you hear me okay? Good. We'll wait for the other folk. Okay. Thank you, Joe. I'm old and blind, and you're like, great. Are we waiting for any more? Yeah, here they come. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Thank you for doing that, everyone. That was really stunning, and sorry to rush the rest of you. Uh, I hope that was as stunning or as heartfelt as we just had over here. Did it feel good to hear each other's stories? Yeah. So, what I want to say is the experience each of you described, even though we only had a tiny second, were massive. Like in your minds, you were feeling the water, the rain, the space with grandma, um, restaurant meals. There were so many beautiful things. There were competitions between Costa Rica Beach and Mallorca Beach, and like, but there were all these moments of your minds touching something stunning. And the wake upist would say that was cause 2. And you can have more of it, but not if you try and grab it, right? If you know really what produced it, you can get into the practices of wake-upism or any other ism. Whatever you habituate in your mind, you're going to be forced to have that experience. And so something made that stunning. And some of you had like epiphanies of connecting with the earth, right? There is no limit to the capacity of your mind to experience these things for real. And for me, once I got that, once I stopped fighting to try and make Buddhism or wake-upism fit my worldview, once I surrendered the fight, which took about 2 years, right? And then went, okay, let's actually practice this. The world opened up for me because then I had power that I didn't know I had before. I could do medium to long-term experiments of behaving, thinking, and doing things in a certain way while I cooked, ate, pooped, had relationships, and did all the human things. But internally, another world was opening up. And it takes time to get the results of the little seeds we plant in our minds. But the fact that you could each share some stunning beauty that connected you and inspired you to something awesome means you have that potential right now. Your mind is empty of a nature. It doesn't have to be the way you think it is. It can be the way you think, say, and do. Now, that's what it will become. Because you're a changing thing. And so I invite you to next Tuesday's class where we get to talk more about that. But the invitation continues after this class finishes. Can you step into your regular environment after we close off and let your mind do what your mind does, but can you see it from a little bit of a distance and go, oh, I know it could be an illusion. I don't have to get hooked by anger. And I don't have to want to grab love or attention. I could watch it as a nice ripening, flowering of some beauty or some not so good things in my mind. But I decide what I plant next by my response to that reality. And that's sort of Buddhism in a nutshell. But tonight, I implore you, see if you find a magic moment. It could just be a movement of your mind, a dream tonight, a story, a friend texting. It could be being among strangers that don't feel like strangers. I invite you to see if before you fall asleep tonight, you've found some magic trying to communicate to you that there's more to you than what it seems. Yeah. And that's my story for tonight. Thanks so much for playing. It's lovely to see you, Melissa. Hannibal, I miss you terribly. Lizzie, hi. Gabe, hi. Oh, okay, we're sharing stories. Oh, yeah, if you have questions, thank you. If you have questions that you'd like me to incorporate into next week's chat and the week after, scan this code and then you can type on that form questions that are maybe not what you want to ask in public. You know, Hector, is there a karma for growing hair? The answer is no, okay? No, there is, but just in the next lifetime. Whatever questions you're going to ask, there's that. I've got to make a couple of other announcements. This Thursday, Sarah and Earl are starting an in-depth dive again into the Asian Classics Institute courses, this eight-year curriculum that we teach at 3 Jewels, in depth around the heart of a warrior saint. What are the practices to turn your heart to love like never before? And I don't mean a possessive love. I mean a love for any living creature, for every living creature. Yeah? Can you turn that on? And what are those practices? And why would they work? And it's stunning. It's a book called the Bodhisattva 700 AD in ancient India, by a teacher called Master Shantideva. Awesome story. And it's really, the summary of that practice is called the 6 Perfections. It's stunning. Yeah. And Sarah's here and Earl is here.